name's Lara Wilson, and I am married to Scotty Wilson. We've been married for about 8 years. In November, it'll be our anniversary. We both lived in Utah when we met. We started having kids pretty quick after we got married. I had Harvey just about a year after we got married, so it was really fast. So Harvey's now almost 7. It's his birthday next week. And then we had Finn just under 2 years after that. By the time Finn was 4, we finally had wrapped our minds around adding to our family and got pregnant really quick when we decided. Found out it was a boy. We were so excited to just have another third little brother running around. Just like this motherly intuition from the very beginning, I just had a lot of anxiety about my pregnancy. So I was trying to put my mind at ease, but in the back of my head, I always just had this anxiety that something was wrong. So we had a specialist come in, and she goes over the whole scan of the baby as well, and then she just turns to us and she says, "Your baby's very sick, and I'm really worried about your baby." And it really doesn't make any sense how we felt so at peace with everything, because everything was crashing down all at once. The NICU journey was hard. Over the course of his time there, he had an intestinal surgery at 2 days old. He had, countless procedures and medications, and he went through so much in that couple of weeks. But things were starting to look up. His breathing on his own was starting to get better. They were kind of slowly tapering him off of the breathing machines, and we were able to hold him a little bit more, and things were looking up. And again, we were just thinking, okay, we just got to get through this. He's beat everything else. He's gonna do this. My husband gets a phone call from the hospital, and they were very vague, but they just said, "You and your wife need to get here immediately." They didn't tell us what was going on. We walked into the NICU, and I looked to his corner of the room, and there's just doctors everywhere. And then I see through a little window of the doctors, I can just see him, and I thought he was gone, from the way that he looked. He was just purple, and it was so horrible. So I walk over to his bed, and I just fall on the floor, and I thought that was it. I thought he was gone. I remember one of the doctors coming over to me and telling me, "It's not over yet. He's still with us." Just a few minutes of them, just his heart decelerating and down to the point where they start giving chest compressions, and it was just such a nightmare, and I couldn't believe I was even experiencing that in that moment. After a few minutes of chest compressions, they turned to me almost for approval from them to stop. So I had to tell them that it was okay to stop, and that I wanted to hold him before his heart had fully stopped. So they unhooked him from all of his tubes, and they handed it to me while he was still alive, and I was able just to comfort him and hold him and tell him that it was okay, that he had done what he could, and he had fought so hard, and that it was okay for him to go. As hard as that was for me to say, I just felt like I had to tell him that, and within probably 2 minutes, he passed away. able to hold him all through that night. They got us a room there at the hospital, and we could just hold him and be with him as long as we wanted, which was really hard, but it was also really special, and I think we needed that. I think what helped me the most getting through this situation was my friends and family and literally people I didn't even know. I think one of the huge blessings of social media now is just the connection that it can give you to new people and the love that you can feel from people that aren't necessarily in like your close circle, but that my husband would agree to, that the outpouring of love that came from the very beginning of our situation and like that still carries on now is so overwhelming. I think just give yourself the permission to feel the emotions that you're feeling in that moment. It's completely normal to feel sad or to feel stressed or to feel angry, and just to feel those things. And I think I would say just take it one day at a time. If you try to look at the end picture of like, how am I going to get through all of this? Like you think months from now, like what is my life going to look like? When this happens and this happens, like it's just way too overwhelming to try to think about that. But literally just getting through that day and getting through like what you're going through in that moment is really the only way that I felt like I was able to survive. So just taking it one day at a time and just giving yourself grace for how you're feeling and what you're going through.